So stinking much to talk about. My head could explode, and not because I have a summer cold, even though it's after Labor Day and I can't wear white, but because so much has happened in the last even just 4 days.
Hasn't that changed? You can wear white now, right?
I mean, according to the Today Show, but I know, like, first off, I can't wear white anyway. I wouldn't trust myself to wear white before summer, on Easter, after summer. Like, I'm not doing it.
Just a personal choice?
Well, I'm kind of just like a walking disaster, so I can only imagine what would happen if I finally... Do you know how many times a year I say I'm going to go buy a pair of white jeans? Only brave women do that.
Twice?
Only really brave, confident, smart, cool women, one, are even brave enough to buy white jeans. Two, it's like a whole other level of just like badass womanry to actually wear white pants somewhere.
Well, then Labor Day's got you covered. You don't even have to worry about it anymore.
So that's my excuse.
Yeah. So recently, the CMA nominees were all announced.
Right.
What are your big surprises? What are the big things that you're just excited that you said, I saw this coming from 100 miles away. This is a shoo-in.
Well, I mean, there are a lot, like, I mean, you know, to quote Taste of Country, they called this year's awards list uninspired, which, you know, there's a few things, like a few sad things I saw coming. I assumed this would be one of the first years since she came on to the scene that Casey Musgraves probably wouldn't get the female vocalist nod. She hasn't had music out in 2 years. Her tour was much smaller in comparison because she's been working on new music. But at the same time, she did have a phenomenal Christmas record.
Yeah.
She did tour.
Yeah.
She's always out there doing stuff.
She's doing something, and there's some artists on the list who haven't done anything in a while.
Right. Well, yeah. So, I mean, I say let's start at the top.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit.
So, you know, like Entertainer of the Year. I'm going to be real. I am now on the Jason Aldean train in terms of CMA Awards, especially for a category like this, because it's a little bit mind-boggling that you can be a 2-time reigning ACM Entertainer of the Year winner. Like, he is currently, like, he has won it 2 years in a row and can't even get nominated for CMA Entertainer of the Year. Typically, those awards don't go hand in hand. There's always going to be, they're a little, what do you say, edgier?
Okay.
Or a little bit more they're non-traditional.
Gotcha.
Is what's going to get awarded over there every now and then. But, like, to not even, like, the guy is, like, producing #1 hits. He's dropping new music. He's got a huge tour. He's got major sponsorships. He's giving away money. He's doing a lot. He's in a lot of different places. He's become much more engaged with his fan base. It's a little bit...
I know there's a lot more that goes into Entertainer of the Year than just making a good album or doing a good show now and then. Is there some category of that he might be missing, or does this seem more like they're just purposefully leaving him off the list?
I don't know. I mean, I want to go ahead and get it out there. Full disclosure, I'm a CMA voting member. I read the guidelines every year, front to back, just in case they've changed anything. I diligently studied the start and end dates and will look stuff up and remind myself of certain things if I need to. I take this super seriously, kind of like how I was the only person who took confirmation class in 7th grade really seriously.
At church?
Yeah, the First United Methodist Church, Russellville, Arkansas,
Yep.
Because they said we could vote on things when we got confirmed, and so I wanted to go to, like, committee meetings with my dad. That's a whole other story. Yeah. But anyway, so, you know, Entertainer of the Year is obviously supposed to be, you got to think of the tour,
yeah,
obviously, and how many fans you're playing to. But it also goes to, like, to me, this is the one award to where you're looking at tour, radio hits, overall goodwill and image. It's like the artist as a whole.
And on the list, if you haven't seen the nominee list, there's Garth Brooks, Luke Bryan, Eric Church, Chris Stapleton, and Keith Urban.
So I am a huge Eric Church fan. Obviously love Chris Stapleton. Jason Aldean, because of new music and just being way more involved, like, he definitely should be on this list above Eric Church and Chris Stapleton. Definitely Chris Stapleton. Which I think people, in some circles could shoot me for that. And I'm even surprised I'm saying that. Because I'm not necessarily your biggest Jason Aldean fan, but at this point it's just kind of weird and seems a little silly.
Because he's gotten shut out past 2 years, is that right?
The guy, I think, has only won 2 CMA Awards in his very long career.
And very successful career.
Well, I think when it comes to Entertainer of the Year, you're looking at who is entertaining the people. Who's entertaining them.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, of course Garth's on there. Of course Keith Urban's on there.
Yeah, well, Keith Urban is my runaway winner this year.
Yeah.
He has been for months now. It's kind of silly that, like, if anybody else gets it other than Keith Urban this year, then it's where I have even more issues with that category. But I do think that Aldean, like, it is starting to get just a little bit strange. There are over 7,000 voting members of the CMA. I don't know how many of those people, actually do more than the final ballot on here. The only thing I can think of is that Aldean isn't at a major label. His small independent label just got bought out by a huge media conglomeration, and that's been pretty new within the last 6 or 8 months, and so, like, maybe they just haven't figured out the voting block yet. I will say that 4 of 5 of the Entertainer of the Year nominees are from one record label. So that'll...
Who's the one that's not?
Garth, who is now on his own,
but is more of an institution himself.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a little bit like, what? I mean, there's a lot of, Aldean is definitely the glaring omission in that category.
Okay. But you're saying Keith has it.
To me, it would be silly to put up anybody else.
Okay, moving on. Single of the Year. This is Blue Ain't Your Color, Keith Urban. Better Man by Little Big Town. Body Like a Back Road from Sam Hunt. Dirt on My Boots by John Party. And Tin Man by Miranda Lambert.
Right. So, gosh, so many thoughts. First off, for the first time in probably quite some time, the Single of the Year and the Song of the Year nominees are the same, which is just kind of crazy because, to me, the best way I can describe how to decipher the differences in this award is Single of the Year is not always going to go to the best song released, but it's going to go to, like, the good song that also is super successful. So in, like, Single of the Year, you are going to look at radio, streams, video, like, all of that. That's going to go into it. And Song of the Year is going to be, it could end up being something that maybe wasn't necessarily a number one hit. I mean, it was successful, definitely in terms of sales and streams, but then also just critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
And it's not very often that you're going to get 5 of 5 the exact same. So for Single of the Year, I'm not loving Tin Man on this list. I know that after she played it at the ACM, I mean, incredible song.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever heard it on the radio. Like, it's weird to me that could be Single of the Year. And then in turn, Dirt on My Boots, John Party, one of my favorite, like, John Party is killing it. He's nominated for Best New Artist. He was my vote for Best New Artist so far. Dirt on My Boots is not, like, it is not up there with I Saw God Today or Girl Crush or Better Man or Tin Man, like, it's just not it's not the same type of song when you look at the rest of the category.
Are you allowed to say what you voted for? What are the 5 songs you voted for?
Well, the way it works is you actually get, I guess I'm allowed to say this. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't feel like it's too much saying how the system works.
So what you get to, it's like an open ballot the first time around. So you get to write in your pick.
Okay.
Which is actually really hard to go through your brain and pick a song you think. And then the next round is they've compiled.
They've compiled all these things.
They've compiled that was an accent.
Yeah.
They've compiled, I think, the top 15 vote getters, or it might be 20.
Okay.
It's 15 or 20. Which in some categories, like album of the, there aren't 15 albums worthy of this, or every now and then. So from there, then that, what was just announced was the top 5 vote getters in every category.
And then there's a final vote out of those top 5.
So then the final vote starts next week and then goes through October. And then we all find out at the same time live during the CMA Awards. So the single and song of the, it's just super interesting how this all worked. If you want to take another look at the list, I can tell you that 4 out of 5 of those songs are from one record label.
Same situation as the artist.
Yes. So now, Song of the Year category goes to songwriter versus artist. But
Single of the Year goes to the artists, the producers, and the mix engineers.
Right. But so it's starting to look like this is a thing. You know? I don't know what kind of a thing, but I think that there are a couple songs that I think it's really interesting that Kill a Word isn't on here for Song of the Year. That is just, especially with everything going on in the world, that's kind of insane. Super interesting that you've got, so from Album of the Year, the Album of the Year is represented under Song and Single of the Year, and Miranda Lambert's Weight of These Wings is represented under Song and Single of the Year. Keith Urban's album wasn't eligible. It was eligible last year. If we're going to nominate Jason Isbell for Album of the Year, I'm not sure why we're not nominating If We Were Vampires or White Man's World or any one of those songs for Song of the Year. It's kind of crazy. Or why Broken Halos isn't on here for Song of the Year.
Right.
With Chris Stapleton. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff that's not making sense. It's not all... The numbers don't add up to me.
So Stapleton's he's nominated for Entertainer of the Year and Album of the Year, but doesn't have a song on the list.
Right. And he is probably the purest songwriter, artist.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at this list, it definitely goes Stapleton, Lambert, they are definitely out there making music to make music, they're not trying to be these big time entertainers. It just so happens that they are. And then you've got Eric Church, who, it's crazy to me that Eric Church doesn't have, that Killer Word's not on this list. It's a little bit mortifying because that is such a great song. And I totally understand how Body Like a Back Road made it onto Song of the Year, but when we're looking at songs like Broken Halos, Kill a Word, it doesn't add up. Yeah. It's currently on its 30th week at number 1 on Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart. Single of the Year all day long.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the lyrics, the depth, all the other stuff to add up to some of these other historic songs that we've seen it's not breaking down barriers by any means,
right?
Or changing minds,
which is why these categories are usually different.
Yeah, typically. So last year, Humble and Kind won Song of the Year. Single of the Year went to Die Happy Man, Thomas Rhett, it spent 16 weeks at number 1 on Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart. Totally makes sense that Single of the Year would be up there. But if we're going based on that, then Holy should be up here. Holy might actually be out of contention. It might be too old now, but it's like there are things that get left out sometimes that you're like, if you're really going to do it based on these facts or these facts, then like some of these are just don't make sense.
Yeah.
Other than when you look at that they're all from the same record label.
Yeah, the criteria seem a little bit off.
Yes.
And you were mentioning Album of the Year.
Right.
There we've got The Breaker, Little Big Town, From a Room, Volume 1, Chris Stapleton, Heartbreak, Lady Antebellum, The Nashville Sound, Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit, and The Weight of These Wings, Miranda Lambert.
Right. So it's going to be a strong... Well... Also, super interesting fact. Every single song, there were 9 songs on that Chris Stapleton album. They were all 9 written before Traveler. One's a cover and one Leanne Womack already released. Right? There's 9 songs on there. Let's double check that.
I believe so.
But so that's also an interesting pick. I feel like I'm hating on Chris Stapleton, but it's kind of like we don't have to give the guy an award just to give him an award.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of artists that we like this year that don't necessarily need an award every year to remind them that you like them.
Right. So there's 9 songs on From a Room.
Now, album was released in the last year, but you're saying all the songs were written before or previously released.
Yeah, they were written before Traveler was released in 15.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a thing to me, anyway, where, especially when you look at it in terms of Lady A being so outspoken about how they wrote this album and that they took an entire year off and then they all went and lived together for a couple of months, like brought their families in, brought producers in, like they made it clear that they were trying to like not reinvent themselves but reinvest in their band and their sound and their music. And so it's all songs from like their point of view that have happened since they took a year off. So like there's that. Weight of These Wings, Miranda Lambert wrote 72 songs for this album, ended up with 24 on a double album.
Huge double album.
Co-wrote all but 4 of the 24, I think, and one's a cover, and one she wrote by herself, which is also crazy. But they're all, like, she didn't give interviews for an entire year. She said, if you want to know how my year's been, listen to this music. Like, the songs speak for themselves. So to me, it and the Nashville Sound, like, where do you even begin there with to dive into all of the current topics it touches?
White Man's World, all of that stuff.
I mean, it's insane to listen, especially just in the last 3 weeks, everything that's happened in the world. Go back and listen to Nashville Sound and you're like, what?
That, and he had a daughter and how that's changed his perspective and how impactful that is from his own point of view. Yeah, there is all that.
Yeah. And then, I mean, The Breaker is just a great album. It's a really great album. I love that album. I totally expected it to be nominated. But, yeah, this is, again, you know, if...
The cool bit about From a Room is the live recording piece of it all.
Yeah.
How he invited people in to watch he and the band record it. So it, at least there in the studio, it had the feel of a live album, even though it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it is a great album. I would never, like, Chris Stapleton deserves all of the praise that he's getting.
Oh, I love him.
It does seem a little bit like we're giving awards to give awards.
Okay.
Also, we should discuss the fact that Jason Isbell has not been shy about his disdain for Nashville as a whole and the music industry. Even in the last 3 months, he has tweeted, I mean, you could say made fun of we know he loves Miranda Lambert, tweets about Miranda Lambert a lot, tweets about Stapleton. I think that they are associates in the way that they like are compared to each other a lot. Yeah. They've had a lot of profiles written on them by the same people in the same magazines at the same time.
Guys who are changing country or
whatever.
Whatever.
I don't know if they're friends. I know they know each other. tweets about Sturgill Simpson a lot and Merle Haggard. After that, like, the things that he tweets about in terms of country music, like, are kind of disparaging. They're not...
Well, even his album title, The Nashville Sound, is a bit of a dig.
One in that one song he says, Mama's trying to change that Nashville sound, but they're not going to let her.
Never going to let her.
Because she's a woman. But, I mean, it also just goes to, like, I'm all for it, but to me, it's like, is he going to come to the show and treat it with, like, any sort of, I mean, I hate to use the word reverence, because that's a super serious thing, but you know what I mean? Like,
just respecting the other people involved with it, the people behind the scenes who are putting a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would show up and just be sarcastic about everything. I mean, in all of his live interviews, he seems pretty genuine, and at least kind to the people that he's speaking to. He doesn't seem like someone who would show up and just be like, "This sucks, I don't like this," but he doesn't have a history of doing that.
So I mean,
CMAs or Nashville.
If he comes to the show, he is gonna have to sit through performances by. Well, I mean, if like all 5 of these people nominated for Song and Single of the Year will be performing because they're all nominated for both awards. On top of the fact, like, he will have to sit through performance by probably Luke Bryan, probably Dierks Bentley, probably Thomas Rhett, probably Kelsey Ballerini. I mean, what, like, is he, like, what's going to happen? Is he going to make the faces for the camera? Is he going to be chill? Is he going to tweet afterwards? Is he going to, because, you know, this is a thing. Like, Florida Georgia Line will most likely perform. Is he going to be, it's just, like, how much longer can he did tweet, he did say, like, happy for the recognition, excited to be in a category with some real country artists. He's talking about Miranda and Stapleton, I'm sure. But it just makes you wonder, like, how he, I mean, obviously more than just the 2 of us and people are loving this album.
Yeah. And
appreciate it for what it is. But
do you think this is a move to try to bring him potentially into the fold, or do you think he'll still try to buck against the system and try to change things or just be different?
I mean, I think what he's trying to change in country music is way more than just its sound. I mean, we can say that if you live in Nashville and you're not Kings of Leon or Kelly Clarkson or Ben Rector, Matt Wirtz, guys like that, you're a country artist, per se.
Yeah.
Okay? So we're going to put him in the category of country music artists because of his proximity and the music that he's making. So saying that, he's one of the only artists in town that speaks out on any political, moral, social issues.
He's one of the few country artists who do, in general, yeah.
So, bucking the system there is an awesome thing. Trying to change that status quo is an awesome thing. Trying to make really, really great music that people want to listen to forever and ever is a great thing. That doesn't mean you also have to make fun of all of the other stuff that's going on. Or blatantly saying, I'm not playing CMA Fest because I don't want to do that. Or great things about CMA Fest. It's in Nashville and I'm not. Like, you can't, if he's going to truly try to get into this, like, if you're going to change it with a seat at the table, isn't that what people say? Like, if you want to, or change it from the inside out, then, like, he's going to have to start being a little bit nicer to all the body, like, a Backroads of the world.
Yeah. I mean, country music does see itself as a family.
Yeah.
And if you come in being antagonistic, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure that he probably, you know, he's played shows with Casey Musgraves, Willie Nelson, Alison Krauss, and, like, obviously Willie and Alison Krauss are widely respected. Everybody loves them. Everybody loves Stapleton. But it's like, are we going to invite, like, do you think they'll invite Sturgill Simpson to the show? Isbell accepts the invite, and because you don't have to come.
Right.
You don't have to be there to win an award.
Right.
But I think if he does come, it's saying something.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
But anyway, so.
Alrighty.
So there's that. We talked a little bit about Casey out of female vocalist. I think we kind of all saw that coming. I think the Reba nomination it's great. I think it's so great for Reba. I think it's great for country music. I think that it should have gone to Brandy Clark or left Casey in there. Like, I think that they are, like, I mean, Reba's awesome. I think Reba's had her time. The album she released was the faith-based album. It was great. I listened to it. I liked it. Is it a country album? I don't know.
Yeah. The other nominees, Kelsey Ballerini, Miranda Lambert, Marin, and Carrie. Yeah,
so this is going to actually be the category to watch this year. Carrie won last year for the, I believe, third time. And
this will be the 10th time that she's hosting with Brad Paisley in a row.
But Miranda had won it the 6 previous years in a row. So she finally took it back from her. Based on, if we're going on, I mean, part of her tour counts, she has had a #1 hit. If we're looking at the voting period, Miranda did release an album. She has been touring.
I don't see how she doesn't win this.
I know, but I think that they need to change these, because to me, if you're putting Vocalist on there, like, that's a silly thing to say. I think it could be female artist, so that way you're encompassing everything, or even female entertainer. But I mean, I think it needs to be. I think we need to change it to artist.
Yeah.
Because then it gives us a little. It gives, to me, somebody who's voting based on the criteria.
Yeah.
It makes you think about things a little bit more.
And there are no females on Entertainer of the Year.
Right. This was just the year that they decided not to throw a bone to Miranda, because and I understand that they're the only 2 women that can carry a headlining tour.
Yeah.
Like a big arena, amphitheater, 20,000 people coming out to see them tour. Because you can't, like, I mean, the other thing they could do is give Karen Fairchild and Kimberly Schlappman half a female vocalist of the year award.
Yeah.
As part of, you can't give to Hillary Scott. But then again, if we're giving Reba female vocalist of the year for her faith-based album, why not give one to Hillary Scott for hers?
Yeah.
She won a Grammy.
She did.
I just think it's silly. And to go on, like, male vocalist of the year, like, I think there's a really, really, really good chance that somebody like Thomas Rhett, who ended up winning ACM Entertainer of the Year, it does seem like the male vocalist of the year category has gone more into, like, the vocal part of it.
Yeah, with Dirks, Eric Church, Thomas Rhett, Chris Stapleton, and Keith.
Right. So, I mean, who's ever going to beat Chris Stapleton in this category?
I don't know. I mean...
So if you look at this list...
I mean,
Keith and Thomas Rhett have had the best years, most success. I mean, Thomas Rhett actually, maybe even more so than anybody else on this list.
He only makes gold, yeah.
Worst vocalist on here.
I'd agree with that.
By 10.
Yeah.
Great songwriter, super fun guy, best dancer on this list.
Better than Keith, you think?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I saw him on American Idol.
I mean, but it's like, what does it even mean anymore?
Yeah.
I think New Artist of the Year, I think they got that right. I would, a couple...
It's always interesting because you have to ask what makes new. I mean, these people have been around, but it's getting to, like, a certain point.
You can't... it goes... You can only be nominated twice, and you can't have released more than one album. So, like, Old Dominion just released their second album, but because of the way that it fell in the voting periods, they're on there. And you couldn't have achieved a certain number of chart singles. And if you had been nominated for Song of the Year as a songwriter, like, there's a lot of rules, but I mean, I think this could be a fun fight between John Party and Old Dominion. For me, it's John Party. I think that he's out there killing it. I think Old Dominion's really fun and great, but I like what John Party's doing.
Do you think Old Dominion has a chance in Vocal Group of the Year?
Whoo, man.
Because Lady Antebellum and Little Big Town are in there. Rascal Flatts, I mean, they're fantastic. I don't see Zach Brown winning, but...
Right. Well, you know, they do have a chance. They've had a couple number one hits. Little Big Town went to number one with Better Man. They did release an album. They did release an album in the middle of all this. They finished up a tour. They've got their Ryman residency. I think it's definitely between Little Big Town and Old Dominion.
Okay.
I'm assuming Little Big Town's gonna like inch it out over them, but I think this year more than ever would be Old Dominion's year to unseat them from their current throne.
Okay.
And Little Big Town's so nice. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they like gave them the award anyway. They like love everybody.
Yeah.
So.
They're great.
Yeah. Vocal Dove of the Year is pretty spot on. Maddie and Tay. I love Maddie and Tay as much as anybody out there. They haven't done anything.
No.
They switched record labels. So, like, in the middle of all that, BMLG quit promoting them. They quit doing stuff. They've just been doing fairs and festivals this year. No, like, real tour dates to find them on. To put them in over somebody like a Big and Rich, who they are touring, they are releasing new music.
Yeah.
That goes back to the Jason Aldean of, like, people just don't like them. Like, for whatever reason, they've just done something to
rub people in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Florida Georgia Line seems like a favorite in this group just because of how big of a year they've had.
Right, but Brothers Osborne upset them last year and at the ACM Awards. Brothers Osborne got that critical acclaim going on, and you just never know.
Okay.
I mean, I think that I think that Florida Georgia Line, because they release an album, playing stadium shows, they'll probably take it back, but I wouldn't be shocked if Brothers Osborne wins again.
Okay.
But at this point, why not just give it to Maddie and Tay?
Why not?
If we're hurting for duos, give it to Tim and Faith too.
Yeah.
You're like, why aren't they on there?
Why? Yeah. Why are they not? I mean, they're doing the huge tour.
Yeah.
Came out with new music. They're on they're further down the list.
I think we should start looking at, if there's not enough to like truly fill the category, then don't. I mean, I know that people like, maybe that is like maybe that's harsh, but like, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, at some point, some of these people, well, I'm not going to say that, but, I would think at some point, if I've been nominated for Vocal Group of the Year 17 years in a row and I've never won, that, like, they just are trying to find another Vocal Group of the Year to nominate.
Yeah. I don't know why Tim and Faith aren't on there.
Maybe we should petition.
Pretty much a duo at this point. They're on the next category, Vocal Event of the Year. I don't see Thomas Rhett and Marin, Craving You. That's pretty recent. Glenn Campbell and Willie Nelson, that's got kind of the nostalgia in memoriam quality.
We should probably not even talk about that song because, yeah.
Your Song, Kill a Word is here.
Yeah.
Kenny Chesney and Pink has the crossover sort of dynamic to it. And then Tim and Faith with the Soul to Soul tour, if we're talking vocal event. I mean, they've been doing big things, but I don't even know if that goes into this category.
Yeah, it's not a great song. I think that we're missing, if we're gonna go on like true, just like, hey, this was like two artists getting together and like doing something cool. We're missing Chris Young and Vince Gill's Sober Saturday Night.
Yep.
We're missing, so The Fighter was nominated last year, but it came to prominence this year. Like, it was actually released as a single. So, to me, it gets another nomination.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the way that I view it. I mean, I think that Casey Musgraves and Leon Bridges' Christmas song should have been on here if we're talking about just like good music. Setting the World on Fire is a cool song. I don't think Pink adds anything to it that somebody else in country music could have added to it. I think Craving You's terrible. Sorry.
There it is.
I don't think it's a good song. If Kill a Word doesn't win, I literally, I mean, they usually announce this award the day, like the morning of the show, like not during the telecast, so we can be primed to really set up some events if Kill a Word doesn't win.
You think it wins out over all the rest?
Well, I mean, I also think you could
calling
have.
It now.
You could have. Well, it doesn't. It also, like, if we're really looking at like just a great collaboration, like I wanted to hate it as much as anybody, but the Tim McGraw Florida Georgia Line, May We All, is good.
Yeah.
Now the Backstreet Boys Florida Georgia Line, no,
Meh.
no, I don't want it. I don't want to hear that.
No, thank you, please.
But the other one is great. It's great. It's good. I mean, is it because they say play the Travis Tritt just above the Tupac? I don't know. Maybe it is. But you know what? I grew up listening to Tupac and Travis Tritt, so like I'm right there with them. I wouldn't put it in a country song. I mean, Tupac is hardcore.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you put another artist in a song, you're dating your song.
Yeah.
It's automatically of that age. It can't live on after that. I mean, you can listen to it, but you're like, oh, yeah, this is from that time.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that this category is... I almost think we need to do away with this category because it's getting weirder every year. And, like, some years there aren't songs to nominate. Like, people are, like, literally racking their brains trying to...
It's another one of those, if there aren't 20 or 5 of them, just don't put them on the list.
Just don't do it. Or... I think we should make this where it could be like a live event thing. And so, like, why not be able to put, like, Tim and Faith. Put Carrie and Keith's, like, CMT version of The Fighter in there. Or...
It is called a vocal event.
Yeah. So, it doesn't make sense. Some of these don't make sense to me. And, listen, I love Glenn Campbell. I love Willie Nelson. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I kind of feel like the passing of Glenn Campbell, people might vote on that just for nostalgia and honoring sake.
Always
over the other ones.
Always a possibility.
Always a possibility. In the last category, music video of the year, Better Man, Little Big Town, Blue Ain't Your Color, Keith Urban, Craving You, Thomas and Marin, It Ain't My Fault, Brothers Osborne, and Vice by Miranda.
I mean, Craving You and Ain't My Fault are in there for, like, the sheer audacity in a good way. Like, this was a production.
Yeah, Craving You, the whole bank heist thing.
This was a music video, like, 90s music video. The other three are way more artistic. I mean, Blue Ain't Your Color got Amber Valletta in there. Fun fact about Amber Valletta, not just a supermodel.
She's more?
Yes, I was at a Dolly Parton show in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Hard Rock Casino in 2014.
Okay.
And Amber Valletta was there with me.
Just there?
Yeah. And she had bought a Dolly Parton jean jacket and she was wearing it around. She was there.
That's
Looked like she was probably there with her mom or like sister, cousin, somebody like that. She's from Tulsa, the Tulsa area. But I'm not I don't know a lot of my supermodels or Victoria's Angels or Sports Illustrated, and like minus like Kathy Ireland or Cindy Crawford.
Yeah,
people
I'm
like
not that guy.
But the friends that I was with were like going crazy over Amber Valletta, and then a few months after that, when the Kill a Word, Blue Ain't Your Color video came out, I'm like, well, there she is.
There you go, guys.
There she is. So, I don't know. I think somehow Peter Pan has missed the boat on this category now 2 years in a row. Kelsey is. I thought that was a great video. We're always gonna miss. There's some hits. There's some misses here.
Yeah.
But people aren't making videos much anymore.
Not really. I mean, they do, but I wonder how much people watch them.
Well, I mean,
or pay attention to them.
Honestly, Vice is an amazing video, but Miranda's "We Should Be Friends" is amazing as well. Blake Shelton has produced some pretty big videos.
I mean, Miranda's Tin Man. It's just that one single black and white shot of her in the bathroom, but if that doesn't carry what the song's about, I mean, it's not a huge production value, but I think it's from a video perspective, if you're trying to put visual to a song, it's unbelievable.
Speaking of videos and visuals to a song, have there ever been more visuals in a video than Taylor Swift's most recent masterpiece?
You're calling it a masterpiece, okay.
I'm calling it like it is.
Okay. I mean, 200...
A masterpiece. Bleep that, Drew.
Okay. Look what you made me do is got 200 million views faster than any other video on Vivo.
I'm 200 of those views.
8 days in, 200 million views. And all the visual references in that thing.
I mean, visual references that I would never call myself a Swiftie. I am very old. I am not going to start playing that game.
But you're a Taylor Swift fan.
Oh, huge fan. I am on top of lots of different things. I know a lot about nothing, and there were things that I'm still missing in that video that I haven't picked up on. So, I mean, there's a lot happening there. I think for her, for 4 days to say the old Taylor is dead, look what you did to me, I can no longer be this fun, cool, innocent, flirty, bad dancer, and then to come out and do nothing but make fun of yourself for 3 minutes and 57 seconds or whatever. That's all it is she took Blank Space and all the tropes of she's a man-eater, she's this, she's that, she's crazy, she's obsessed with love. She took every character and just heightened it.
She owned it.
Yeah. She owned Crazy Cat Lady. She owned, over dramatic. All of it.
Super Smiley Awards, all that stuff.
I mean, I think what's unfortunate for Taylor is that supposedly that video's been done since May. I think in May she knew she was going to trial for the sexual assault trial. I think it would have been crazy for her to try to release anything when that was going on, if anybody was going to take that seriously, obviously. So they sat on it and waited until that was all over. And unfortunately, what has happened since that is that even more so than 6 or 8 months ago, there's been a huge shift in the country's conversation stream, and it's not about individuals anymore.
Yeah.
And so that is a very narcissistic song, and it
is.
You've attacked me, you've done this, and now I have to do this.
Well, almost all of her big songs are really personal. So that's nothing new for her to be talking about herself. But the hyper focus on just about every critical thing that's been said about her, even putting a $1 bill next to her while referencing other criticisms. It's very all about her, all of her looks, everything.
Right. And so, I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. But to people who aren't invested in this narrative the way that I am, it looks even more ridiculous than it actually is because of Charlottesville, the hurricane. I mean, everything. But I will say, I have several friends in Houston, and texting with them and checking in on them. I'd gone back and forth with one of them for a few minutes, and this was probably on Tuesday. After, so like they were still in the middle of the storm technically on Tuesday, and she says, "Thanks for checking in. So sweet of you to think of me. Can we talk about Taylor Swift?" So on top of the fact that Taylor also got more publicity than an eclipse, so like she surpassed the eclipse and a natural disaster. Like people still saw it. She was still relevant. It seems tone deaf, but in planning all this, like she didn't know like A, B, and C were gonna happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of ABC, though,
the network.
Yeah, she released the second song, Ellipses, Ready for It? ?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Before the Alabama-Florida State game.
Yeah.
Which is a very country music thing to do.
Yeah, and we can, yeah.
I've never heard her talk about college football. I've never heard her song. It's also being played, I've seen both songs now with Shonda Rhimes, which she's a huge Shonda Rhimes fan, but getting ready for TGIT. Thank God it's Thursday TV on ABC. But that college football thing is weird.
Because it's not like these are not country songs. She does have a nomination for the CMA.
Yeah, she better show up.
Yep. She did write Better Man.
Her album does
Soul Rider.
Her album does come out that week. So I wouldn't be shocked if she's not there. But also that's a big award. Song of the Year is a big award.
It is.
It's one of the bigs.
Yeah. And neither Look What You Made Me Do, neither one of these songs are country. You were saying the most recent one sounded more like Britney Spears.
Yeah, and she goes, "Are you ready for it?" It sounds like yeah, I mean it's so she's rapping.
Just that grinding bass in the background, it's pretty hip hop R&B inspired pop.
But this is her rapping. I mean, basically, this is like Beyonce threw up on a 7th grade girl, and now she's rapping. And I really like this song. I like it.
Yeah.
The chorus is pure Taylor Swift.
But this is not country. This doesn't make you think football in America.
No, they did not play that part as DeAndre Francois was warming up.
Yeah.
You didn't see Jimbo Fisher or Nick Saban's face next to...
ABC loves it.
But he is a man, though. But it sounds like he's saying Manzo, which is a family on Real Housewives of New Jersey. So I've just been thinking about those brothers that are on there, Chris and Albie, who started a water line.
Is it...
like a bottled water line?
Is there a chance that this is kind of their football theme for the year? Because every once in a while, ESPN or someone else picks out a song for the year, or at least the month.
Please don't say anything about Fall Out Boy.
I think Need to Breathe was one of those, Fall Out Boy, that they pick one of these kind of upbeat, fun songs to cut to commercial for.
Yeah, well, if you watch enough of Game Day and enough just 11 a.m. college football games, it's always country music. Because, ABC technically owns the CMA Awards, the actual show. It's their property.
Interesting.
And so there's always the cross-promotion there. And, it does make sense fan base-wise, But, Taylor Swift fits in with college football about as well as somebody else who doesn't fit in with college.
Lady Gaga, Super Bowl halftime performer.
That's different. Super Bowl halftime performer is not dropping a new song from an anticipated album Saturday 7 p.m. of Labor Day weekend before Alabama, Florida State.
Yeah.
Like, how many of her 17-year-old fans are like, I happen to be watching that football game. I also follow her on Twitter and Instagram, so I saw her say, like, tune in. Saw her, air quotes. I'm like, what?
It's probably one of the few programs that's more male-dominated on TV.
Yeah,
And if you're not a Florida State or Alabama fan, odds are that you are a pretty avid football fan, not necessarily country or Taylor. There is some crossover. You're in that mix, but...
I'm an anomaly, as people have been telling me my whole life.
But...
you didn't touch it.
Yeah.
No, it's weird. Like, I could see... Sam Hunt played quarterback at UAB. They returned to college football this weekend. They took 2 years off. Their program was dismantled. Yeah. He played a free show for like 20,000 people in Birmingham. He was the guest picker.
But that makes sense in Birmingham.
On Saturday.
For Sam Hunt. He like you said, he played there. But Taylor Swift has not made herself known as like a college or a football.
She's not Kenny Chesney. She's not. If you you need to go back and watch Eric Church do college game day 2 years ago. He knew more about like Navy's 4-3 defense option glide slide run than everybody on the show was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, where do you even have time to look at Navy playing football? But no, it just didn't make sense. It's weird. To answer your question, Taylor, obviously I'm ready for it. Been ready for it. I'm here for this. My question is are we ready for what they made you do? I don't know. I don't know what they made you do.
Exactly. No, other than changing your image a little bit.
Did somebody make you not wash your hair and then take this photo for the album cover? I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. Like, did somebody make you delete all your tweets? I don't know. Now knowing what we know, the wiping of social media was, no, that's too much, man.
It seemed like it was a way to control the narrative, where she could say, this is what you said, and then nothing that she said was out there. This is her saying with the first and final word almost on everything.
Yeah, I just think that she needs to tell me, like, what she did.
Okay.
Like, did she, like, key Kanye's car?
Did she key Kim's car?
Like, did she
say something mean about...
Flaming sack of poop?
Yeah,
like,
did she say something mean about their kids?
Ooh, kids are off limits.
Yeah.
Kids are off limits.
Can't do that.
I don't know. I'm just... As much of, like, I am such a Taylor Swift fan, and I love celebrity drama. Like, with everything that's been going on in the world, like, dissecting that Taylor Swift video was such a respite from, like, oh my gosh. I could have spent 6 more hours on it because it allowed me to not think about all, like, all of the other, like, sad, meaningful, horrific things going on in the world. But it does feel like this is going to get a little long. This whole album promotion.
They're just going to draw it out single by single.
Yeah. Well, because she used to, like, talk to us and tell us what's going on and get people excited. And now it's like, she hates everybody. Or in her words, she doesn't trust anyone and nobody trusts her. Which is also just a sad place to be.
Yeah, for anyone. Yeah.
And, like, I don't like that for her. So, I mean, but she did give all that money to her. She gave all that money to the Houston Food Bank. Did you know her mom's from Houston?
No.
Went to Memorial High, which is like the fancy public school. Go Mustangs.
Beyonce is from there.
Different parts of town.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Beyonce. Don't really see Andrea Swift teaming up with Beyonce for anything, but I'd be down for that.
You'd be there for the vocal event of the year. Andrea Swift and Beyonce.
What if? I'm still convinced that someday Bay and Tay are going to do something and we're going to get to just call it Bay Tay Day. I'm like, that's going to be it.
In perpetuity.
Like,
whatever day it drops.
Yeah, it's just going to be, this is, like, I was pretty convinced that Beyonce was going to be a 1989 tour guest. And I actually went to the 1989 tour in New York City, very much expecting Bay or Jay.
And who did you get?
Crazy Eyes from, what's that show on Netflix? The Prison, Orange is the New Black?
Yeah.
And Nick Jonas, which at the time, Nick Jonas was one of the bigger gets.
But not Beyonce or Jay-Z.
No, well, and so that was a 2-night set. She played at the new Giant Stadium, which I think is just called MetLife, out in Rutherford or I don't know. It's somewhere not in New York City. But the night before was the Women's World Cup soccer team, which they had done their like parade that day, like down the Canyon of Champions. And so I'd been telling myself that there's no way they could do both in one day, and that like I was definitely going to get to see that. But also at the show, like most of the models were there. So like Joe Jonas and Gigi Hadid were still dating at the time. They were both there. Bahati Prinsley was there. Carly was there. Carly Kloss. Somebody else. They were all there. Now, of course, it's assumed that she's not friends with any of these people anymore, based on what she hasn't told us. But anyway, I mean, I guess we're just gonna have to see. So the real question is like, what did we make her do? Will she show up at the CMA Awards?
We'll have to see.
The last time she was nominated, she did not show up.
Okay. And she's nominated as a songwriter.
Yeah.
Not for one of her own songs. So
right.
We'll see. But maybe she'll show up, unwashed hair and all. And we'll see what the CMAs make her do.
I mean, it's... Part of me assumes since the album will drop that week that she will not be able to devote time. But it would be pretty amazing to see her actually perform Better Man with Little Big Town.
It'd be great. Well, that's all the time we have here on One Country Podcast, Country Air. CMAs are coming up in November. Taylor, we'll just have to wait and see. Until next time, I'm Drew.
I'm Lauren, and I'm ready for it.
And we're ready for it. See y'all.